Yeah. All right, everybody.
Medical circumstances. Take care of yourselves. This is no fun to have, even if you are fully boosted. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Ferranti, thank you. Thanks for making the time to join us. We are wishing you a quick recovery and at least a couple minutes to rest today. Thank you. We are also waiting for Mr. Dorsey to join us, either remotely or in person at this point, but we're going to go ahead and get started since we do have quorum. All right, we have one item to consider. It is time sensitive enough that we have convened here on a special meeting basis. Madam Clerk, could you call that item, please?
Yes, it's item 1A through C. These are three amendments, ground lease amendments related to Courthouse Plaza for properties at 2100, 2200, 2150, and 2300 Clarendon Boulevard.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jacobs. Mr. Manager, I'm going to turn it to you to introduce our Real Estate Bureau team.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have with me today Doug Radin from the Real Estate Bureau and also Ari Arkin, and Doug will give us a brief verbal presentation. Mr. Radin?
So the purpose of these amendments is to facilitate the sale of the ground leases. The county ground leases 3 parcels in Courthouse Plaza to JBG, and the ground leases call for the county to receive a portion of the net proceeds the first time the ground leases are sold. JBG has a transaction lined up to sell to a joint venture with itself and Fortress Investment Group, but there's a little bit of a snag. One of JBG's lenders needs some extra rights. The ground leases permit traditional leasehold mortgagees to demand a new lease if the lease terminates by reason of the tenant's default or in bankruptcy. Those rights are not extended to mezzanine lenders, which take a security interest not in the lease, but in the tenant entity itself. So these amendments grant mezzanine lenders the right to demand a new lease if the lease terminates early, just as a leasehold mortgagee would be able to. There are also some cleanup items in here that are to the county's benefit. We have been advised by JBG that if the transaction goes through, the county's share of the net proceeds would be $10 to $12 million.
Thank you very much. Does that conclude the presentation? All right, thank you. And so I assume it is the recommendation of the manager then that we proceed. I don't believe we have any public speakers. Can I confirm that?
We do
okay.
not.
Fantastic. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So the discussion is now with the board. Colleagues, are there any discussion or questions? Mr. Karantonis.
Yeah, for the purpose of discussion and for any purpose, I would like to move the manager's recommendations, which is to approve each of the following documents. Number A, first amendment to amend the restated ground lease lot 1 between the County Board of Arlington County, Virginia as landlord and JBGS Courthouse 1 LLC as tenant for real property located at 2100/2200 Clarendon Boulevard, Arlington, Virginia. That's RPC number 18-004-067. And B, First Amendment to amended and restated ground lease lot 2 between the County Board of Arlington County, Virginia as landlord and 2150 Clarendon LLC as tenant for real property located at 2150 Clarendon Boulevard, Arlington, Virginia. That's RPC number 18-086-026. And C, First Amendment to amended and restated ground lease Lot 5 between the County Board of Arlington County, Virginia as landlord and JBGS Courthouse 2 LLC as tenant for real property located at 2300 Clarendon Boulevard, Arlington, Virginia. That's RPC number 18-005-044. That's part one, to approve these three aforementioned documents. And number two is to authorize the Real Estate Bureau Chief, Department of Environmental Services, or his designee to sign each of the above described documents and any related documents on behalf of the Arlington County Board, subject to approval as to form of such documents by the county attorney. And to my, the only addition to my
Second.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think you
Yeah,
need a second.
it
Good,
needs-
okay. Seconded by Mr.
The
Fergie.
only addition to that is, this is a very beneficial deal for us, bringing an extra $10 to $12 million, as we just heard here. I think this is a very fortunate turn of events for the land lease regime we have for this building and the adjacent properties. And I think this is definitely in the interest of the taxpayer of Arlington and of Arlington County per se.
Thank you, Mr. Karantonis. And let the record show, I believe we've been joined by Mr. Dorsey online, who is joining us from the 1000 block of South Columbus Street in Arlington, Virginia. Okay, Ms. Garvey.
Yeah, so as I understand it, just want to check that these are giving rights to mezzanine lenders, which I don't know what that means, but there's some kind of lenders, just to make them have the same rights as usual lenders do. It's not something over and above, it's just regular lending rights, right, correct?
Well, I mean, that's close enough. I mean, basically, so mezzanine lenders take a security interest in the shares of the tenant. Standard leasehold mortgagee would take a security interest in the lease and would be able to foreclose on the lease. So we're putting the mezzanine lender in the same position as the leasehold mortgagee with respect to getting a new lease if the existing lease terminates.
Okay, thank you. And then one last question. I think it's all in the motions, but are you able to put sort of in simple English, what does this mean for the county?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear?
Can you put just in simple English what this means for the county?
The county will get $10 to $12 million with no detriment. I mean,
That
the
sounds-
county- It's very unlikely that the county would ever have to give a new lease to either of the lenders. That would only happen if the existing tenant defaulted or declared bankruptcy and none of the lenders stepped in to cure the default. And if that happened, then the lenders might come along and say, I want to be in the same position I would have occupied had I foreclosed. Would you please give me a new lease on the same terms? And we would have to do that. So we would simply return to the position that we occupied before the default, before the termination. So no real detriment to the county. So we're expanding the lender's rights at no real cost to us.
Thank you, and that enables this all to go through, and we get, how many millions was it? How many millions was it?
10
12.
to 12, it's estimated.
Okay, fine, thank you. I'm fine to support the motion.
Thank you so much. Do we have a timeline for when the tenant is likely to consummate the transaction?
I didn't entirely hear
No
what the
problem.
math,
Do we
but I
have
mean,
a timeline for when the
yeah,
closing? Yeah.
The closing is scheduled for maybe tomorrow. The JBG has asked us to tell them as soon as possible after the board makes its decision today. And if the answer is yes, to send over the documents. They want to close right away. They are obligated to pay the $10 to $12 million within 30 days after the closing.
And so well before the start of fiscal '23, and Mr. Manager, it's correct that your recommendation to us would be to consider the proceeds, and we will know exactly how much it is once the deal is closed tomorrow as part of our budget allocations for fiscal 2023. Is that correct?
You know, we may not know the exact dollar amount until 30 days from now, but we will absolutely have the money in hand as one-time funds this fiscal year. And it's, I don't want to say found money, but yeah, no, it's found money. It's new money. I made no recommendations as to how it should be spent.
And so you were mentioning we may not know the exact amount. Will we get narrower than $10 to $12 million after the closing, or we really won't know?
We will know the exact amount at closing.
Okay.
The reason for the uncertainty is that our share of the proceeds is based on net proceeds. The JBG can subtract its costs of sale, its brokerage commission, its attorney's fees, other transactional fees. Even they don't know that amount right now. They have to add it all up. So that's why there's the uncertainty, but everyone knows it's not going to be $1 billion. It'll be within a certain range, and that's why they're able to tell us 10 to 12 million, and it won't be very different from that.
Okay, thank you so much. This certainly seems like the fruits of a well-negotiated set of ground lease terms when that work was done. So I am happy to support it. Are there any comments or questions from our colleagues on the phone? Mr. Dorsey, Mr. DeFerranti?
None for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I don't want to look for trouble, but I do, similar to Libby's question, Ms. Garvey's question, this is within JBG's entities. Why would they want to do this? We just drafted a extraordinarily clairvoyant and forward-looking contract that was very good. I don't know if staff at any level can kind of describe why is this writing down an obligation that they would face over the coming years and they want to do it now rather than later? Is there any context that either manager or staff can provide on why this is coming to us other than this is great?
They told us at the time that we negotiated the ground lease restructuring that they were interested in getting out of the ground leases and refocusing their efforts on Crystal City.
Yep.
And so this sale is consistent with what they said they wanted to do. We don't really know if that's the true reason for, they're selling the ground leases, but they've been consistent all along that they wanted to do it.
Great, that's enough. Thanks, Madam Chair, and thanks, staff.
Thank you so much. Okay, I believe that does it for our questions. Mr. Grittenhouse, did you have anything else?
No.
Okay, great. Without further discussion, we are ready for a vote. Let me do just a voice vote in the room, and then we'll do a quick roll call for our two colleagues on the phone. In the room, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Mr. DeFerranti, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Dorsey, your vote?
Aye.
Terrific. Thank you so much. That carries unanimously. Thank you to staff very much, as well as my colleagues for gathering on short notice. We are very pleased that the item will pass. And for those keeping track at home, we will be discussing the potential proceeds of this, or the likely proceeds of this transaction as part of our budget allocations. We meet next for budget markup next Thursday. All right, without further conversation, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much.